What's up, Hockey Town? This is Matt here with Forrest, the guys at Red Wings Diehards. Forrest, there was a pretty major transaction yesterday involving the Red Wings. Did you happen to see that?
I did hear a little bit something. I heard that some kind of a legend, he might be coming to good old city of Detroit. Former legend from a different city, though. Can't remember his name, though. Not sure if you do.
Yeah, we are talking about Patrick Kane, American hockey superstar. He's in the winged wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, showtime.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Hockey Town Hangout.
Brings it in, scores! Oh, his first NHL goal is a beauty!
The sickest Detroit Red Wings podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Forrest, initial reactions to Patrick Kane being a Red Wing.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little perplexed. Perplexed is the word that I'm gonna use. Obviously happy that he's here for the current iteration of this team, the 2023 team, but honestly, a lot of me goes back to a decade ago, that 2013 series, where we lost to the Blackhawks. So mixed feelings, definitely, but happy to have him obviously on our side now. I actually saw an interview with him where he said that it's like the first time in 3 or 4 years where he's skated without any pain on his right side at all. So, he said 3 to 4 seasons. Like 2 and 3, it was just 2 years ago where he was putting up a point a game. So if we can get him full strength, I don't see any reason why he can't outplay his super reasonable contract. And the fact that we got an American hockey legend for less than $3 million. I mean, I get he's hurt and everything, but wow, Stevie working his magic.
Yeah, obviously the hip resurfacing surgery that he had, there's pretty much no proof of any NHL players coming back from that surgery and being any type of the player that they were. I'm not super privy to the details of the surgery. However, listening to some of the interviews with Kaner and the press conferences, the way I understand it, it was done in kind of a different way than they've been done in the past, involving like a metal plate in there or something. I don't know. I'm not even going to try it and summarize it for you guys, but people have led us to believe it's been done differently than, it was done on guys like Nick Backstrom, Carl Hagelin, stuff like that. But, just the way he still has that confidence and swagger, even like knowing all that, like he's betting on himself. Like he was on TNT the other night talking about how like he thinks he's going to be even better than he was, like talking about how hasn't been able to cross over left over right, which obviously not being able to do a crossover in the NHL is a big deal. So especially in a guy like him where he's such a playmaker and he's never been like a super elite skater, but he has been pretty elusive and being able to stick handle and make plays. If he can come back and if he can be, just like a 34-year-old Patrick Kane and just like no hip issues, like, I mean, that's nuts for $2 million. $2 million.
It's mind blowing how cheap they got him for. I mean, even if he comes in and just plays third line minutes, PP1 time, I just think no matter how you chop it up, this is a good signing. I mean, even for myself, my initial reaction was the hurt a decade ago. At this point, I'm over it. Just excited to have him on our team and truly unleash him. You made a point about him being, crafty and not fast. I would kind of liken him to Luka in the NBA. He's not the most athletic guy out there, but he gets to his spots, and he gets his shot off, and he scores. So I have always been impressed. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he's number 2 all time in points to Mike Modano. So I think that'd be cool to see if he could catch him in the winged wheel. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And, obviously, like, there's been like a lot of people on Twitter who can't get behind it for various reasons. Obviously the whole 2010 incident with the Blackhawks, this is just my kind of 2 cents and you can let me know if you agree or not. But like, everything that happened there, very tragic and unfortunate, should have never occurred. I truly believe that the organization, like ownership, executives, like they're the ones who need to fall on that sword, because at the end of the day, like that's the culture that you built and allowed to occur. And I mean, think about Patrick Kane. He's like 22, 23 years old when that happened. Like he's an employee and they're the employer. And I don't know. It's an uncomfortable situation to be in, regardless. Should have never occurred, like I said. Um, but to hold something against Patrick Kane for that, I think is not right.
I agree with that entirely. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, goodness, I'm sure a lot of people would say that they've changed a lot from one year to the next. You know, we're talking about what 13 years ago. We're talking about a long time ago. I'm willing to give somebody another chance. And yeah, why not?
I mean, you and me at 22 years old. I mean, goodness gracious.
Not a lot of good decisions being
I
made,
wouldn't
that's
say
for sure.
even one good decision, at least on my end.
Yeah, probably 2 brain cells total there, and
So,
you have both.
and and obviously, like human beings, like you're entitled to your opinion, like whatever. Like I'm not gonna change your mind, you're not gonna change mine, and like it is what it is. But regardless, you cannot deny the greatness that Patrick Kane is on the ice. You cannot deny the greatness of Patrick Kane, the hockey player. And truthfully, like the past wars that we've had with him in the Blackhawks uniform, like obviously, like it's a little weird, like seeing him that clip of the morning skate at Madison Square Garden, him in the Red Wings practice jersey for the first time. Like that's weird. Like that's gonna take some getting used to. Um, but at the end of the day, where we are right now, um, you know, obviously a much more veteran laden team today than we were a year ago. He gets to come back in and hopefully recreate some of that chemistry with Alex DeBrincat. Um, he's spoken at length of how much of a role the cat played in his decision. And if they can find some of that chemistry together again, I mean, maybe on the wing with Dylan Larkin, the Captain America line. Um, I think that's where you got to go to. If Patrick Kane, like if DeBrincat really played that big of a role and he said that publicly and DeBrincat's commented on it, like I just feel like that's where he's got to go first. Like put him there. He's coming off the surgery. He wants to feel comfortable as quick as possible. Put him with the guy he had so much chemistry with right away.
Yeah, I mean they've been playing what 11 forwards and 7D. That allows you to kind of mix and match some forwards. I don't see any reason why they can't, put Kaner out there every other time the Larkin line's out there with Cat, and especially when they're down late in the third period, send in the three of them out together. I think it's definitely a potential weapon, and it opens up new opportunities. I mean, we have some improved players along the half boards on the power play, but we don't have anybody that's a Patrick Kane there. I mean, that just takes it into the stratosphere. I'm just really excited about it all, to be honest. Like we've been through a lot here in this town. I mean, so many bad sports teams for so long. Our Red Wings have been down, and good stuff is finally happening and coming back to this city. So I think that anybody who's a fan of the Winged Wheel should be over the moon and excited about the direction of this team and where we're going.
Yeah, no, 100%. And and honestly, I don't really hate Lucas Raymond playing with JT Comfort all that much. Like I think those two can kind of cook together a little bit. These past couple games without Larkin, they've looked semi-decent together. Lucas Raymond is continuing to play at a really nice level, playing super confident with the puck on his stick. But yeah, it's really nice to see a big name choose Detroit, at least in the hockey sense. Don't think really this has happened since Marian Hossa, I guess. At least in my opinion, free agent wise. And yeah, that's a good feeling. And I want to light rant. I've seen a couple people on Twitter use the term that the Wings aren't in their cup window yet. And I cannot stand that phrase. I don't think there's any NHL executive that uses that phrase. Oh, we're not in our cup window. Like I've I've been fortunate enough to get to like talk to people that work in the NHL, and like I've picked brains about like playoffs, non-playoffs and stuff. Like all of them just want to get in. Like get in the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Look at the 2019 Blues, get in the playoffs. I mean, the Sharks went to the final. They got in the playoffs. They haven't done shit since. The Predators went to the finals 5 years ago. They haven't done really anything since. I mean, the Canadians, I mean, like things happen. Like a pandemic could happen. The whole league could get in the playoff. Like just get in the playoffs and take it from there. Because once you get in the playoffs, it's literally do or die one day at a time. And I really think playoff hockey is like 60-40 mental over physical at that point in the year. And yeah, just get in. Like this cup window nonsense, please shut the fuck up about that. The cup window, whatever, man. Like get in the playoffs and anything can happen.
Yeah, I haven't started seeing that term until recently, and I'm with you. I think it's ridiculous. I don't even know where you would start in defining what a cup window is. Like, the Lightning, for example, they're probably the most recent dynasty in hockey. They went to what the cup finals 3 years in a row and won 2 of them. So is what their cup window only 3 seasons?
Yeah, and then they went to the cup final in 2015 also.
Well, how do you even define that? I think that's just such a loose term for, I think it's just a way for people to get mad about something. Like, as you mentioned, win and get in. We just watched the Florida Panthers, a team that, won the President's Trophy and lost very early in the playoffs. And then they squeak in thanks to Alex Lyon at the end, the last 2 weeks of the season, and then they go to the friggin' cup finals. It just goes to show how fluky it is, and
just get in.
Hockey is so momentum based, and it is very luck driven. A lot of these are bounces that go one way or the other, and it can decide a game. So,
and I would even argue too a little bit further, like you get in the playoffs, and let's say you lose in the first or second round, you have so much data to look at and say, well, where did we lack in this most important part of the year? And then it allows you to go out and address that further. So I just really think getting in the playoffs is a big step for this team. I think Patrick Kane signing with this team is a big green flag statement to the hockey world that Detroit is, maybe they're not exactly for real yet, but they're getting to a point where, hey, people that are well respected in the National Hockey League are buying stock in the Red Wings. So I think we should feel really good about where we're at today. The calendar is about to turn from November to December here in about 2 hours. So, hey, man, just get in the playoffs. That should be the goal now. You got Patrick Kane. You're in a playoff spot right now at 27 points. Just get in, win the day, and get in the playoffs.
I mean, another thing to add to that point, who's the best team in the Eastern Conference right now? Who's got the most points? Pretty sure it's Boston.
Yeah, Boston or the Rangers.
Who's the team that's beaten Boston the most this season?
Yeah.
Your Detroit Red Wings. Just get in and let the chips fall as they may.
Yeah, a 7. Like, if you're a Red Wings fan and you've seen those Boston games so far, like, are you really, like, a 7-game series with the Bruins? Like, it sucks they would have home ice, but, like, I mean, I don't know. 6-7 game series, they might win, they might not.
Here's the cup window, and here's me shooting it into the trash can. Just get in.
Yeah. So, little bit of a heater lately. 4 out of 5 wins, 8 points in the last 5 games. Forrest, you want to give us a little breakdown here?
I mean, after such a tough sledding in Sweden, a couple hard-fought games, a real chance for the Wings to kind of carry some momentum, and they just didn't play well in Sweden. But the good news is once they got back to the United States, Alex Lyon decided that he was going to do his best, 2010, 2012 Jonathan Quick impression and just start stealing games for us. So, I mean, obviously we will take that anytime we can get it. I mean, he's pitched the shutout against New Jersey 4-0. I'm pretty sure he followed that up. Or was it? I think it was Husso against the Bruins. Yeah. I mean, even Husso played well, which just goes to show that I think the mojo in that room's turned around. I think that, everybody was below 900 on the save percentage. Everybody kind of started piling on them. Obviously, the usual people getting ticked off about our defense. This team has really started to turn a corner. I don't know what it is. I think, you've been seeing the stuff with Alex Lyon being such a likable guy and those the Red Wings stuff that they post. I think the guys on the team really love him and they love playing for him. And you've been seeing that. Like, I think it was the game against Boston where they were talking about how the Wings had blocked more shots than Boston had even attempted. And they were talking about how they were going out of their way to give up the body, and it just looked different. And I was like, yeah, it just seemed different overall with the way they were coming out and playing. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that as well, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake about it. I think I tweeted it out yesterday. Like, the amount of shot blocking we're seeing, like, it's a direct reflection of how much the players are buying into the stock that Coach Alone and his staff are selling them. I think, Jeff Blashill, for better or for worse, was here for a long time. And I think whatever he was selling really wasn't that great to begin with. I think he's a good coach. But in terms of how he just managed the day-to-day operations of the organization, I don't know if it was really the best work environment for growth. But anyway, that's just what I've heard. But anyway, I think Coach Alone's a very personable guy. I think he's a relationship-based coach. I think he's a really good human. They had a really nice feature tonight on Red Wings pregame about the cancer battle his wife went through. Just a really easy guy to root for. But the Red Wings are really bought into him as their bench boss and their leader. I think it goes without saying how much they're bought into their general manager and the things that he's done in that uniform. I just I think you're really starting to see them believe in themselves too. You kind of touched on that a little bit ago, but just the resiliency, I mean, they've had a couple of third periods where they've let it get away against, Toronto and Sweden, and then the other nights against New York. But those are kind of weird games. I mean, you're playing in Sweden on a back-to-back, and then, Madison Square Garden without Dylan Larkin. And then when Shane Gostisbehere goes down, you have 5 defensemen, and then that's just, that's all she wrote at that point. But the resiliency you see kind of night in and night out, they're in most games. Like, I don't really, like, they might have gotten their doors blown off once, maybe twice, but like through this exact amount of games last year, we had given up 8 goals against on 2 different occasions. And I think the most we've given up now is 5. So they're just in a lot more games. And, the defense is spotty at times. And certain nights, I think the first time we played the Rangers, we gave up a 5-0 lead. I mean, like, just certain games, it's just kind of out to lunch type stuff. Fixable, but like also inexcusable. So when they can put it together, it doesn't look half bad. But Simon Edmondson continues to look great in Grand Rapids. And I think it's really just a matter of time before he gets called up.
Really? You think they're gonna do it mid-season?
Yeah, I mean, like, if he continues to at a certain point, dude, it's like you can't ignore it. Like,
I just go back to, he should have been on the roster to start the season. Like,
true, but now he's go ahead. Sorry.
No. If you don't start him on the roster to start the season, I just don't see any reason why you would call him up before game 73 or 72 or whatever.
Yeah, no, I don't think you should leave him down there all year and then just call him up for the last 10 games. I think they're at a point now with what's happened this week. They believe they're a playoff team too. And I think if you can bring Simon Edmondson in and make him a part of that, I think that only helps the longevity of the culture that you're trying to build in the main locker room in downtown Detroit. That's just kind of my take on it. Because obviously, like Jeff Petrie and those guys, they're not going to be around in 5, 6, 7 years. Simon Edmondson is. So I would get him in that locker room like as soon as possible if it were me.
So you're bringing him up right away and you're starting him on the second pairing. Who do you have him out there with?
Probably Gostisbehere to start, honestly. Just to start. I mean, Gostisbehere, like, he likes to jump in the play a little bit, and it might be a little bit too much for Edmondson. But again, like,
I think it could also simplify it for him too.
Yeah.
Just, hey, stay back, play defense, let Ghost do his thing, do his roaming, and just be a stay-at-home defenseman.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be an easy way to acclimate him to the league.
Yeah, I think that he's smart enough to do well. I don't have his stat line right in front of me, but it seemed like every time I check in on
He's
the
got like
Griffin,
10 points in 15 games.
yeah. So like,
Is
and
that
he's playing
offensively?
top. He's playing top pair minutes there too. I'm assuming he's their first power play unit.
25 plus a night. Yep.
Yeah. So, sorry about that, folks. But yeah, so I would get him up sooner rather than later, and obviously the first sign of any type of injury, it's an automatic phone call.
Yeah. No, I think that's a lot of the time we looked to a trade in order to upgrade the roster, but yeah, I think the biggest upgrade for this roster would be a second pairing defenseman, and yeah, we have one down in Grand Rapids, so we don't have to deal anything for him.
Yeah,
All we
no,
got to do is promote him.
and I think too, obviously there's a lot of hockey left. What we see now and what we see in late March might not be the same thing, but there's a way at the trade deadline where they're not necessarily aggressive like buyers, but like, and maybe even at the trade deadline they could like, maybe lose a little dead weight for like a later round pick or something. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see how he approaches the trade deadline, because I really don't think there is much of anything to fill other than maybe someone on that second pair. And like you said, like we have a way to make that happen without shelling out anything. So
Yeah, I mean, if we can call up Edvinson and we bring in Kaner, I think those are our two biggest needs. Seriously, right there.
yeah, like
We can address them in very short fashion.
yeah, for sure.
All right, so there was a 3-game heater for the Wings. Obviously, New Jersey 4-0, Boston 5-2. That Boston win is massive. I mean, 2 wins against the best team in hockey. Like, come on, how do you not get amped up about that?
Yeah.
Especially the Bruins. Fuck the Bruins, man. I can't stand them.
Heyo.
Regardless, moving on to Minnesota. Minnesota, man, they look so bad right now.
Yeah, we got their coach fired.
Yeah,
sorry, Dean
I'm glad we caught them when we did. Obviously, the coach did get fired, as you mentioned after the game, but it just seems like their coach is the fall guy. Bill Guerin kind of drove that into the ground. So
yeah. I think they're about to win their second game in a row too, and I just looked.
Hey,
which is so trash, because that team is playing with a $15 million cap hit, and it's like Dean Evason's got to be just like throwing his TV against the wall.
I'm pretty sure that at least like 3 out of the last 6 Stanley Cup champions have fired their coach midseason. You have to check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that like the Penguins did it twice. Like Mike Sullivan got canned midseason. They brought in somebody, and then they canned the guy and brought back Mike Sullivan the next season. Some nut stuff like that. Anyways, tangent over. Yesterday, game against the Rangers for the Wings. Tough 2-3 loss. They got thoroughly outplayed in the first and third periods. Definitely they took it to the Rangers in the second period. But yeah, it just comes down to, I think this was a really good back and forth game, the kind of one that the Wings need to have early in the first quarter of the season to kind of get a taste of, a team that's definitely more powerful. They have better, I'll say, talent up top to bottom than you guys. But I was just super impressed with the way that they fought back after giving up the early goal in the second. And yeah, just overall, more good goaltending. Husso again in that. Obviously, he gave up 3, but seeing him turn in some good performances. Obviously, congratulations to him for having his kid. And now he's on a heater too. So anybody who touches that blue paint for the Red Wings is just, he's just going to take off to the stratosphere.
Yeah, I mean, he had like 38 saves. Like that should be good enough most nights.
Yeah, he had 38 saves, and I'm pretty sure we were outshot 25 for the Red Wings.
Yeah, so and like honestly, it's just like kind of more speaks to the horrendous D zone coverage that was executed in the first and the third periods last night. I mean, they had 41 shots on goal. I think the Red Wings had like 23 or 24 blocks as well. So like just being able to generate so many shot attempts, like you were just spending way too much time in your own zone. Definitely is really nice to see. I think pretty much ever since that James Reimer ducking incident, has he played since then?
He has not played.
That's awesome. Like I want to just real quick. I want to applaud Coach Lalone on that one because he should not play after that. And he should have to work really hard to earn the net back after that. And the Lion King, number 34, he's just kind of stolen the show a little bit here. Don't forget, I think, the only loss he had was that game in Sweden. So he hasn't lost in North America yet. And he just won again tonight. So.
Yeah. I keep the man in the net.
Yeah, I think if him and Husso can kind of be a 1A, 1B type of thing, and if we can just kind of tighten up our D-zone coverage, and, once we get Kaner and once we get Larkin back, and then it's just kind of, let's see what we're really cooking with here.
It's really going to come down to the defense for me.
For sure.
We'll talk a little bit about the Chicago game in a little bit, but, defense looks indestructible. Like a fortress against the Blackhawks tonight, but against the Rangers, they just look so porous. Some nights you just don't know what you're going to get. Petrie's been a little tough. Sherratt's had some really, really great moments, and I can't believe I said that. He's had some really good moments this season, but also, some bads, and that's the thing that you're going to get. Unfortunately, a lot of these defensemen we have, Hull especially, Sherratt, Petrie, it's going to be good, bad, and ugly, and just kind of take your pick depending on the day.
Yeah. I just think that their D-zone coverage system has been kind of simplified. I think the responsibility is just kind of real simply like 3-on-3 down low, like the D's in the center down low, and the wingers kind of got the high slot and up. If you watch them in the D zone, their defensemen will ride the puck carrier up to about the top of the circle and then peel back. So they kind of play like a box and one kind of style where the D kind of applies that pressure as they're trying to go north in their own zone to create some time and space for themselves. But when they're doing a really good job getting organized in the D zone, their trigger points, shots and bobbled passes and stuff, they do a pretty good job bouncing on loose pucks and engaging in battles. But just some nights they're just like 2 steps behind all night, it seems. And I think that kind of speaks more to just kind of the daily grind of it. It's hard to do that day in and day out. It's not going to be perfect. And thankfully the NHL is a super competitively balanced league where you don't have to have it every night and you can still make the playoffs. So I think just as long as they're focused on, building the habits and doing it the right way, it really starts in practice. Should be encouraged so far. I think the defense, just specifically talking about the defensemen and the personnel, hasn't been everything we would want to this point, but we're still in a favorable spot in the standings. So I think that's a good sign. That's something that you can actually kind of be encouraged about, because we all can tell by watching there's room to grow on the D side of the puck. And if we're saying that now when we're sitting at, third-ish in the Atlantic, hey, then let's just get back to the grind and work on those daily habits and structure and focus and detail and shit like that. And let's just be better most days than we are not. So should be okay.
I would agree with that. I think overall, being third place in the Atlantic right now is way better than any of us would have thought.
Nuts.
And I know for sure that's better than an 89-point pace. And I was 88 and you were 89. So they're outplaying that. So at least they're beating our expectations here.
Yeah, for sure. Can't be mad when the Red Wings are on a 100-point pace. It feels like it's 2009 again, baby.
been long overdue. Man. I think maybe that little 3-game heater had them feeling a little good about themselves, and they kind of got a wake up call.
how can you not feel good? I mean, like, you go into Boston, you kick the shit out of them, dude. I mean, a 5-2 win in Boston, I mean, that's a big deal.
If anything, I was worried about them in Minnesota coming out
Yeah,
of
that felt like a
Wayne.
trap game. I agree with you there. Yeah.
So I was encouraged not to see them, but obviously it happened the next one. But obviously, with them, the effort not being there last night against the Rangers, tonight against Chicago, you know that their coach got into them. You can tell that they got absolutely roasted for their lack of effort last night. Like you said, being a couple steps late, it's noticeable. You know, when you're not getting to those 50-50 pucks and
So noticeable.
go ahead.
Real quick, though, as we transition to the Chicago game, I feel like there's a player that we owe some flowers to because he's got 7 tucks in 9 games, and that's Mr. Robert Fabry.
The man is an absolute menace when he stays on the ice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that when we traded for him, that he was a point a game guy for the half season after we got him as well, and then he signed that big old contract.
Yeah, man. I mean, like,
his hair.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with Fabry has just been his lack of availability. Like, when he's in the lineup, like, he's kind of electric. Like, he can score. Like, he'll sell out and block shots. Like, he's literally just kind of like a Walmart Tyler Bertuzzi, I guess. And I don't mean that in a negative way. He's got like all the elements with Tyler Bertuzzi's game without the Tyler Bertuzzi clout.
Yeah, no, I could see that a little more scoring touch too. I mean, to your point about Tyler Bertuzzi, he was always a first liner for the Wings. We're talking about Robbie Fabry playing third line minutes on this Red Wings team, and that right there is the difference. I mean, Fabry, we all know he's a bona fide 20-goal scorer if he's healthy for a whole season. Having somebody like that on your third line, it's a weapon. We all know that at the end of the day, come playoff time, third lines and fourth lines are what win championships, the ability to play them in your defensive zone.
Fabry, Kopp, Rasmussen. That's a bingo bango, the third line.
Honestly, I kind of like that as a third line. I really like that as a third line. Definitely more of a checking, lots of defensive face-off starts. I could definitely see that working out a lot.
Yeah, I would, yeah. Kaner, Larkin, DeBrincat, Comfer, Raymond, Perron. I mean, Perron, he's like kind of turning it up a little bit lately too.
Yeah, we talked about him. We were definitely ragging on him a little bit here on the pod, and he has definitely come out and proved us wrong. So kudos to you, Mr. David Perron. You've definitely been picking it up.
I mean, you have 3 lines in, like, again, we need to see Kaner be healthy, and let's knock on a little wood here and hope that everything goes well for him. But if everything plays out and you can stay healthy, which Steve Yzerman said tonight in his interview with Mickey Redmond, being healthy is the X factor, of course.
Yep.
I mean, that's 3 lines that I think are legit.
I mean, they are legit.
Yeah.
When you have 20 goal scorers, bona fide 20 goal scorers on your third line, yeah. And like Jovi, he's been playing well too. And I'm pretty sure he's been out there on like the third line quite a bit this season, depending on what they do with Kopp. But
yeah, he's been floating up and down the lineup. He's having a quietly nice year. He's probably not doing enough to earn a long-term deal like he would prefer just yet, but there's, again, a lot of hockey left. He's not playing bad. But again, just kind of that bottom 6 center type of guy, and I really don't see him beating out Andrew Kopp in the center depth anytime soon.
He's just so quick. I will give Veleno this. He is noticeable with his quickness and his skating, and that's the biggest difference from last year to this year. Like, he is taking it to teams, and he now has the ability to take over a shift at any given time. And that's what I've been most impressed with in regards to Veleno. So I think, to be honest, I think they should throw him a bridge contract for like 3 years, a couple mil, because I think he's got lots of room to improve. I think if anything, we should throw Kopp down on the fourth line and have him run with the grinders and give Joe V those third line minutes. But that's
Don't
just me.
don't disrespect Skyline High School legend Andrew Kopp like that on the pod, man. Come on.
I love me some Andrew Cobb, but I just think that he would be better serviced as a fourth line center as opposed to a third.
Fair enough. Who we got coming up here? We got Patrick Kane's first game coming up at some point, but who are the opponents coming up?
Let's take a look here. I believe we have the Canadians next.
Ooh.
And, well, obviously it's December tomorrow, for Pete's sakes. Yeah,
Like,
so we have Montreal.
Canadian.
Sorry, what was that?
I was just speaking French. Don't mind me. Probably poor French. We can check with our friends later.
Anyways, we got Montreal this Saturday. A couple road games at Montreal, at Buffalo on Tuesday, and then end of the week home against San Jose, home against Ottawa. I did see tonight that the Ottawa game is the Mike Vernon celebratory mini helmet giveaway. So
Nice.
if you're interested in that, big 97 Cup fans, like I'm pretty sure most of us are, definitely give that a check out.
What day of the week is that Sharks game on?
It's Thursday.
I might need to make my Little Caesars Arena debut at that game because that could be Patrick Kane's first home game in a Red Wings jersey. And the
Very well
Sharks,
could be.
that's not going to be an expensive ticket. The Sharks are fucking ass.
Oh yeah, Sharks are an absolute dumpster fire.
Cool.
I feel so bad for Hurdle.
Yeah, dude, he's
They've
got
got rid of everybody.
They got rid of everyone except him.
Except for
And Couture's
Bro.
there. Logan Couture's still there too, isn't he? He's the captain of that.
Oh, you're right, Couture. Gosh,
But they could be on their way out too. Who knows?
But would they even be at the cap floor without those two?
Yeah, no, that's also a good point.
It's
Yeah,
probably a quarter of
the
their
GM in
salary cap
Minnesota is
right there.
calling the GM in San Jose, and he's like, "Can I trade you the Parisi buyout? That'll help you get to the floor, pal."
Throwing nice Mr. Ryan Suter too.
Oh,
Yeah.
gracious. So we got the Canadians, we got the Sabres,
Mhm.
and the Sharks, and then who was after that? Ottawa.
Ottawa.
I mean, literally, dude, like that's got to be a 4 straight point streak. Like you don't have to win them all, but you got to get points in all those games. Those teams are below you. The Sharks, that's got to be a win. I mean, like you got to get at least, I'm thinking 6 points in 4 games from that for sure.
I think that's a good number. If they can walk out with 6 points in 4 games, they'll be in good shape. To be honest, I'm pretty sure 6 points over a 4-game span has you in really good shape for making the playoffs. So as a general rule of thumb, if you can get 6 points in 4 games, you're in good shape. So
Yeah, no, 6 and 4. I will never complain about 6 and 4 ever. And if I do, that's probably time for me to step away from the game.
or to stop drinking the ginger ales.
Well, that time is not going to come anytime soon, I'm afraid. JT Kumper. I fucking love that guy.
He has been just absolutely killing it, and gosh, what a fun name too. Being a Michigan boy too, we literally have like the Michigan Wolverines down at Little Caesars Arena. You've got Larkin, you've got Kopp, you've got Comfer. I mean,
It's a bad day to be an Ohio State fan who also likes the Red Wings.
get your hockey program up, bud.
All right, guys. Well, we really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us tonight. The Red Wings, everything's looking good so far. No reason to panic just yet. And it's just about showtime for your Red Wings. New number 88 coming at you soon. We'll be back next week. We'll talk Patrick Kane's looking Red Wings. We'll see ya.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Hockey Town Hangout on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.